Charting Toward Intimacy covers mature topics. Listener discretion is advised.
Does sex in your marriage ever feel like a chore? Or worse, a transaction? In this episode, we're going to tackle what to do when sex starts to feel like a trade-off or a transaction, whether it's intentional or not. You're going to learn how to spot and stop transactional patterns, shift your mindset, and reignite desire with practical tools. If you've ever felt like sex is just one more task, this episode is for you. Welcome to Charting Toward Intimacy, the podcast for Catholic women that helps you improve your sex life, strengthen your marriage, and embrace God's design for love. My name is Ellen Holloway, and joining me today is my amazing semi-regular co-host, Kathleen.
All right. What do you do?
We're back.
We're back. It's been a minute since Kathleen and I have recorded.
It has.
You guys probably haven't noticed
last week
because we got ahead a little bit on our recordings, and now we are not. I actually ran out of our recordings, Kathleen, and I had to do 2 solos in a row to make up for it.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, I was on vacation last week, which threw like an extra week off.
Well, and I was on a 2-week vacation. Like, it was just.
That's right. You were on vacation too. Yeah. Speaking of, I have to do this. Okay, and I didn't tell you about this, Ellen, but I'm doing this. I was on vacation, and it's like my husband's family. We just do a big vacation. And I have this beloved family member who is a regular, committed listener to this podcast. And she said to me, "Girl, I've never gotten a shout out, and I listen every week." And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. She's probably the most committed listener out there. So shout out to Sam Chavanis. Here you go.
There's your shout out.
We appreciate you listening. And guess what? She's not even Catholic, and she supports us so much, and she loves this podcast, and she's the best. So shout out to Sammy.
Maybe we should start
doing
you
listening
shout outs.
We'll do listener shout outs. And it all started with you, Sam. It all started with you. So oh my gosh, and she literally just texted me at this very moment.
That's hilarious.
Which is very funny. So she doesn't know I'm talking about her.
She'll see in a few weeks when this comes out.
She will. Anyway, so what do we do, Ellen, when sex starts to feel transactional?
Yeah. Well, so I think there's 2 things that I want to separate. It's like 2 kind of categories of this. Is like one category is sex in your marriage has become unintentionally transactional. And what we mean by that is like, I do this and you thank me by giving me sex, right? And this can happen on either side. I think more often we kind of see this as like the husband is like, I do this and you thank me by giving me sex. Yeah. But it may unintentionally become transactional from the flip side, where the wife is that one. And so if that's your situation, just flip what we're saying, right? And then the other camp, which I think is more common, is when it feels like it has become transactional, and it feels like our husband is only doing things so that he can get sex. But that's not actually the truth. So we'll speak into like both of those camps, because they're a little different, and there's kind of like different recommendations that we have for those 2 camps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other thing I want to say, sorry, before we jump in fully, is that Kathleen and I were talking before we recorded, and we might not stake our lives on this, but we're pretty confident that every marriage goes through this stage at least once. Like that, this transactional feeling about sex, we're not saying that it's a good thing, but like, it's almost part of the like figuring out how to have sex as a couple, or it's something that can kind of accidentally happen after many years. Like, we're pretty confident that every couple is going to go through one of these stages. And so that is not saying like you have a bad marriage. It's not saying you and your husband are bad. Like, this is something that I think is just like incredibly common to have happen in in marriages with 2 fallen humans. Like, we're fallen. We are broken. And like, this is going to happen. And so we're going to give you the tools to get yourself out of this not good situation. Like, and we're saying like, this is not a good place to be, but you're not like, there's nothing wrong with you if you found yourself in this situation, but let's get out of it as quickly as we can.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that like a lot of the time when you're talking about, oh yeah, like little tit for tat or like transactional sex, that can very much have an undertone of like abuse. And that doesn't have to be the case. Right. So it's like, I think as you're talking about it, like, it's kind of like, oh, that sounds like a really abusive relationship. Like that is, like Ellen said, this is something that can just, first of all, is all about learning how to have sex together, right? Like learning each other in this very intimate way. But yeah, also just something that is very easy to accidentally slide into with, like, this doesn't have to be, you know, I just want to like get rid of those undertones right away. Like this has nothing to do with a really bad relationship, because there are really good relationships that can slip into this.
Right. And we are never, ever saying that if you are in an abusive relationship, and in this case, it would be like an emotionally, intellectually abusive relationship, we are never saying that you should stay in one of those. We're talking about just regular old, like healthy marriages that can fall into this trap, and how to get out of this trap.
Yeah.
Okay. So on that same note, let's just one more qualifier before we get in. Sex is never a bartering tool. Okay. It's never, ever, 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 ever a bartering tool.
Yeah.
Sex is never, I do this and you thank me for sex. It should never be that way. Sex is a fruit of a healthy marriage. You think about a tree. The tree is your marriage. The roots of that tree is God and your faith, right? Mm-hmm. And sex is the beautiful fruit that comes from having this healthy tree. Sex is not the glue that is holding your marriage together. It is not, sex is not the nails that is like holding the house of your marriage together. That's not what sex is. I think a lot of times we can see sex as that. And if sex has become that, we've got a different problem. And we talk about that more in other episodes. So therefore, if sex is a fruit of a very healthy marriage, you can take sex away, right? You can take the fruit off of a tree and it stays perfectly healthy, right? We harvest all the fruit, super healthy tree, right? You take all the nails out of a house, you don't have a house.
Yeah.
So with that being said, right, that is part of why like sex can never be a bartering tool. It is something that comes out of a deeply intimate, healthy relationship.
Yeah. And I think that is something that can be done even sort of like, we don't even realize it. Like I know early in our marriage, like I would found myself doing that, but just like in a playful way, where it's just kind of like, oh, well, if you blah, 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 then, but it was like, my husband would call me out on it right away. And he'd say, never, ever. I was like, okay, yeah, and it was just, it wasn't anything trying to be like undermining or anything like this. It was just this like sort of playful, like, but he always sort of nailed down the seriousness of that right away. Like, no, not even as a joke, not even as play. That's not what we're doing. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. That's like, let's never do that. But the point being that, it's not always like this insidious sort of, this like bartering for sex. It can sort of come across as this like playful thing, but still should never ever.
Yeah. We got to be careful. We got to be really careful of that.
Yeah. Got to be careful.
All right. So I think the first thing is if you are noticing that sex is starting to feel transactional, we need to figure out if it's one-sided or two-sided. And so what's the best way to do that? Say something.
So we were saying, see something,
say something. But we really do. We need to figure out, is it feeling transactional from both sides? Are you both noticing this sort of like I'm doing these chores and you're thanking me for having sex, right? And like, one more qualifier. Like, I think that this can happen without any resentment whatsoever, right? Like, it can feel transactional and you can still be like very happy with each other, right? But like this transactional thing, that's what's unhealthy, and we need to root that out. So even if you're like, well, it's working for us, right? He does this list of chores and then I do like give him sex. I would argue that it's not working, like that it is not healthy to have this kind of like barter relationship, transactional relationship with sex.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out if it's one-sided or two-sided. And so this means that we got to get brave and we got to sit down and have a conversation. Now, if you have taken our advice and you're talking about sex every day, you already have an opportunity to talk about it just the next time that you get together for sex. But I can guarantee you that maybe like 0.01% of our listeners have taken our advice. And it's okay. It's okay. All right?
That's okay.
We understand.
It's baby steps.
Baby steps. So just set aside, just be like, hey, I have some, like, we need to talk about sex. We need, or I have something we need to talk about. Can we make sure to like, just set aside some like no kids, no phones time on Thursday night? Whatever, like just set aside a time to talk about it, and just make sure it's just going to be a time that's like not high emotions, right? Like, so don't set aside a time to talk about it in 2 weeks to where your spouse has to go, what the heck are we going to talk about in 2 weeks? This is terrifying.
That's true. That is true. That would be bad.
Like, set aside a time as soon as you can.
Be nice.
Yeah, that would not be nice, right? Don't leave them hanging.
And you know, another way, like, rather than, you know, kind of being like hey, I've been feeling like, I feel like sometimes when we do that, like, hey, I feel like this, it can kind of put our spouse in this like defensive position where it might just kind of be harder to have the conversation. It might be easier to say something like, hey, do you ever feel like, I was listening to this podcast. You can blame it on us, right? I was listening to this podcast. And they were talking about when sex becomes transactional. And I'm wondering, do you ever feel like our sexual relationship ever feels transactional?
That's excellent. I love that.
And so, that might be a great way to do it, right? Just like, I was listening to this podcast. Do you ever feel this way? Because I think we should talk about it, you know? And then if you do feel that way, it was like, I actually realized in listening to it that sometimes I do. And I didn't really realize it before, you know? And it can just be like, start the conversation in a way that's very like everyone's guard is down, like, you know, we don't have to like feel defensive or anything like that. Just like hey, this was a topic thrown out there, let's talk about it and see if it applies to us.
I like that a lot, because then, right, you can ask the question, see what your husband says, and that will help you figure out if it's one-sided or not, right? Because if he's like, I don't think so, I mean, it's fine, and then you can share, that's so interesting, because I've kind of felt like it's transactional because of this, this, and this, right? Be really specific. Figure out like why it feels transactional to you. And again, this is not like a blaming conversation. This is like you've asked, he's responded. And if he responds like negatively saying, no, I don't feel like it's transactional, then you still need to say something, right? You need to share that is feeling transactional to you and explain exactly why. Yeah. Now, if he if he responds in the positive and is like, I actually do feel like it's been a little transactional. And then, you know, that might even be an easier conversation to have of like, wow, me too. I'm feeling it here and here. Where are you feeling it? Right. And just kind of like pinpointing a couple of those things that really are like feeling transactional about it. I think we've got to be really specific about it, because we're not going to be able to solve the problems if we're not specific about it. I'm just thinking about like the house that I'm, thank goodness, renting is riddled with termites right now. Riddled with termites. And part of the reason why it's riddled with termites is because years ago, when they noticed some termite issues, they didn't do anything. They didn't get specific about it, right? They just kind of, there's something going on. It's fine. There's something going on.
That's all right. We'll let it go.
Right? And now it is like, guys, it's bad. You would not want to buy this house.
That's awful.
And they have to tent the whole thing, right? They gotta fumigate. You do not want to fumigate your marriage, friends. So get specific now.
No.
So that you can spot treat the termites.
Locate that nest.
This is a hilarious analogy.
Oh my god.
This is my life right now.
You are so good with analogies, though. I will say that. You come up with some pretty clever ones.
I love analogies. Help me.
Never ceases
They
to
help me
impress
think
me.
about the world. So I hope they help you all
I love
think
it.
about the world.
I love it.
All right. Yeah. So again, like, it is possible that it feels like it's transactional to you, but that's not at all how your spouse is seeing it. And so we need to recognize that, like, that point right there is really a mindset shift for you. If your spouse is like, I don't see it as transactional at all. And so here's what I'm telling you. It's the secret to everything. Actually, it's not the secret to everything. It's the second secret to everything. We'll talk about the secret to everything in a moment. The second secret to everything, the best thing you can do in this situation, if it feels transactional to you, but not your husband, is you can schedule sex.
Always schedule.
Always. Always.
Ellen loves scheduling sex. Ellen has a separate sex calendar. That's how much she loves scheduling sex.
Actually, it's funny that you say that.
She's pointing to me like, actually.
No, okay. But the thing is, I'm not going to put it on my Google Calendar where everything else is.
No, this is the paper calendar you keep in your purse.
Oh, that's hilarious. I do not have a paper calendar for it. I'm telling you, we should probably like revisit scheduling sex because I think people think I have a calendar that I'm like writing on.
No.
I am not. Like, this is a mental scheduling.
Just joking, friends. It's just a joke. Just a joke. She's not that weird.
Paper calendar. Can you imagine? No.
Could you imagine a paper
We still
calendar?
got 3 days.
Oh my
Not
gosh.
tonight. No, that is not what scheduling sex means, guys.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. But okay, here's why scheduling sex really, really helps in this situation. If you schedule sex, then you can intentionally recognize that the things your husband does do not equal sex. Right? And that can help you just like shift your mindset out of this transactional mindset. Like, and honestly, I'm not even sure we have another tip for if it's that situation. If you think it's feeling transactional, but your husband doesn't, you got to just schedule sex and you like, just do it for like the next 2 weeks and just notice how it is not transactional, because when you schedule sex, then it cannot become transactional. There's another like way to keep it from being transactional. Just schedule sex.
No, that's so true. Just schedule it. You know what I want to mention though, because I think that this is an area where we can sort of get caught up. Talking about this one-sided feeling of transactionality or whatever the word might be. I think that sometimes as women, when we're the ones keeping the charts, right? If we are practicing NFP, we sort of put that transactional pressure on ourselves, where it's like, oh, okay, well, today's my first not fertile day, or today's the first day that I'm not on my period, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, I owe it to him. I owe him sex today. Like, it has to be today, right? He's like, we've waited, now I owe it. That's something that we should really, also a mindset shift that we need to make, right? Because it's like, because I know I would do that for a long time, you know? It's just like, oh, well, I owe it to him as soon as possible, and today would be that day. But my husband never asked for anything, right? Like, he didn't say anything about it. He didn't say, hey. I mean, sometimes he says, hey, are you done yet? But that's not transactional. That's just an inquiry, right? But in our minds, we make it transactional by being like, oh, well, now we've waited, and now I owe it to him now.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
And that's
but that's not necessarily the
that's
case.
a pure mindset shift. Like, that's
a pure
purely
mindset shift, yes.
recognizing the thoughts that you're having about what your husband needs, quote, right? And it's about changing those thoughts. Recognize those thoughts and say, oh, nope, not that thought. Throw it in the trash and replace it with another thought. And that's just a process, right? You're going to think the thought, and then you're going to recognize it. And then you're going to say, okay, what's the thought I actually want to think? Then you're going to think that thought. And eventually you will get to a point where you're not thinking the negative, limiting whatever thought.
Yeah. And if I can recommend a thought to replace that thought with, it would be, wow, how great it's going to be after this period of waiting to come together today, or to come
awesome.
together tomorrow, or whatever.
That's right?
Like, let's just switch it from I have to because I owe it to, wow, this is going to be great.
Yeah. Oh, because then you're anticipating with joy. Okay.
Exactly.
That's a great thought. That's an excellent. I love that thought. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about, for the last 10 minutes that we have, like, when you've both realized, oh crap, we've gotten transactional. Like, we have a problem. All right. Here's the number one secret to everything. Ready? I'm so excited. Prayer.
Oh my gosh. Prayer and sex. Hand in hand.
What?
All the time.
I just feel like at this point, there's no surprises on this podcast, guys. Like, I mean, it's the foundational. It's prayer. It's scheduling sex. These are like the two things we talk about on this podcast.
Every single episode. It's just, we really only talk about one thing in different ways every episode.
No. Okay. So if you've talked, you figured out, yep, we both feel like it's become transactional. You need to take it to prayer first. So I want you guys praying every day together about your marriage and your sex life. It could be as simple as doing an Our Father, a Hail Mary, a Glory Be for the intention of your prayer, of your sex life, right? You don't even have to like say those words out loud, right? But you can know, okay, we're doing this with this intention. That's our intention for this little bit of prayer time. We're doing it together out loud would be like, right. Do it together, hold hands. Or it can be, kind of just like an open prayer time that you guys are doing for 5 or 10 minutes every day. Set aside, if you can. My husband and I have been trying to figure out if we can do this, but if you can, go do a holy hour together. And friends, let me talk about holy hours. Okay. Yes, holy hours in front of the exposed Blessed Sacrament are amazing. But that same Blessed Sacrament is in every tabernacle, in every church. You do not have to do a holy hour when the Blessed Sacrament is exposed. Jesus is there still. If the sanctuary candle is lit, Jesus is there. You can do a holy hour in front of a closed tabernacle. It is okay. That's still that's still adoration. That is still a holy hour, right? So you can schedule whenever the church is open, you can schedule it, right? And so, see if you can get babysitting or, schedule some play dates, right? On a Saturday, just conveniently schedule everybody on a play date at the same time, whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly.
And like go do a holy hour together.
Yeah.
Or another really good one is find a Catholic family that is willing to do a mass swap with you and have that family take everybody you might have to, depending on how old your kids are, you might have to find 2 families to do some mass swaps with. Okay. So here's my recommendation. Everybody under the age of reason just doesn't go to mass that week. Okay. It's actually okay. They are not canonically obligated to go to mass if they're under the age of reason. It is actually okay. All right. Everybody under the age of reason, if all of your kids are under the age of reason, just do a simple mass swap with one family. They take your kids, you take their kids, right? So they take your kids, you go to mass, you take their kids, they go to mass. It's a super fun thing. It's great. All right. If you have kids over the age of reason, we got to get a little more complicated. And I suggest 2 families. So find 2 families who want to do kind of like a triple switcheroo. Okay. You got to figure out the timing. It's okay, but you can do it. You can do it. All right. So one family takes all the kids under the age of reason. They don't go to mass. The other family takes all the kids over the age of reason. They go to mass with that family. And the reason why this works is because kids over the age of reason are a lot easier to handle during mass, right? So it's not going to feel as much to ask another family to take your kids to mass.
Yeah.
And then you go to mass by yourself. So, right. So you're going to have to figure out some different timings of mass to go to.
Yeah.
Or another one that works really, really well is like if you've got a Saturday evening option and then a Sunday morning, let's say your family goes to mass on Sunday morning, you just drop your kids off at somebody else's house on Saturday evening. you go to mass.
Yeah.
And then you go to mass again with your family the next morning. So
that's a great idea. The other thing you could do is a Saturday daily mass as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So if you got someone just to watch the kids for an hour in the morning, you guys go to daily mass. It's usually like 30 minutes instead of, an hour. You just go to daily mass in the morning, maybe like go get a coffee afterwards or something.
Have a little
turn
date.
it into a date. Have a little date and then come home and you're home in like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That might be a feasible way to do it too. But yeah, I definitely, that's a great point. Just going to mass together is huge.
without kids.
Without, where you can be intentional.
But like get creative because you can. I know that you can figure out a way to get to mass without your kids. And honestly, like even if you don't know the family that well, like if you're like, oh, we've never asked them something like this, like there are totally ways to do it, and like that are even less, I don't know, like intrusive on another family. Like you could just ask like, hey, during this daily mass on Saturday morning, would you mind just like hanging out outside with our kids and just like go play outside? My husband and I are going to go in and have mass, right? Like that's like a little less intrusive. It's not like dropping them off at somebody's house.
Right. Yeah.
So, and this is honestly like this kind of a thing. I don't know a Catholic family that would say no to, right? Like, I really want to go to mass by myself with my husband. Like, who's going to say no to that?
That's very true. That is very true.
Okay, so prayer.
Yeah, no, I love that idea.
And like,
prayer's huge.
Masses are good. Intentions for masses. Prayer is going to be really, really big. Scheduling sex is going to be super duper helpful here for the same reasons mentioned above. Mentioned prayer.
Yes.
And then something else that I want to recommend is plan something that excites you for sex. Like plan, either plan to like set aside a lot of time for it, plan to try a new position from the Catholic Sex Positions Guide. Literally shameless plug.
Yes, love it.
Yeah, you should get it.
It's your podcast.
If you don't already have it, I don't know why you don't have it. You should have it.
Yeah.
Links in the show notes. Or like something new for foreplay, like maybe plan to like do an at-home date before having sex. Like plan something that's like
new lingerie.
Ooh, yeah, new lingerie, mentionables.
From our favorite. We haven't mentioned mentionables in a long time.
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
I'll put the link in the show notes for mentionables too. I think with our code you can get 10% off, so that's fun. Just like plan something that's really going to excite you for sex, because likely if you're feeling that sex has become transactional, you may also be feeling some kind of like resentment, resistance to sex. And so like, let's make sex exciting. Let's make sex something that you actually want to do. And then those mindset shifts are going to be huge for you, maybe also your husband too. But like, that simple, like replacing the thoughts of like, oh, we have to have sex now because this is when we scheduled it, to like, I'm really excited to have sex. I'm looking forward to sex. What you say in your mind is what becomes true, right? So even if it's not true yet, it will become true as you say it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. Did we mention taking sex off the table?
We didn't. Oh my gosh. In the last few minutes.
Wait a minute.
Oh my gosh. We totally skipped that
I know.
one.
I was like, wait a minute. We passed it. I thought, did we? I couldn't remember.
Totally skipped it.
Anyway, we totally skipped it. So we're going to end this episode by mentioning one last thing that can be helpful, which is just taking sex off the table for a period of time, an agreed upon period of time. Maybe it's a week. Maybe it's a month. That would be a long time. But whatever you feel, I mean, that's going to be completely up to your discretion in your marriage. But take it off the table, right? Just be like, you know what? For the next week, no sex is going to happen. Or for the next 2 weeks, we cannot have sex. We're just going to say that now. We're not going to have sex. And it really gives you the freedom to be more flirtatious, to be more affectionate, to be more, and just to like, to watch and see your husband be helpful, right? Or your wife be more helpful, without that pressure of like, oh, are they only doing it because, right? Like you can really just, you could just really enter into the relationship without feeling this pressure or reading into something too much. If you just agree to take it off the table for a period of time. I don't recommend doing it for a long period of time.
Yeah, like a week or two. Honestly, I wouldn't say more than 2 weeks. And this is straight up St. Paul. Like, this is what St. Paul says in a couple of different letters of just like, it is completely good and permissible, right, for couples to like refuse sex for an agreed upon period of time to focus on prayer. Right.
Yeah.
Because like what you're doing, you're focusing on your marriage or praying for your marriage. Like everything is prayer. All of our acts should be prayer, right? And like that's what St. Paul is talking about. Like that your whole life is prayer. And so like setting aside sex for a period of time means to focus on the other aspects of your life that are prayer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, finding those ways to connect outside of sex too is just so very important. Speak each other's love languages, 5lovelanguages.com if you don't know what we're talking about. Yeah. And I don't know how you wouldn't know what we're talking about. It's like everywhere in the world.
I feel like
but if you've never heard of 5 love languages, you got to go look it up.
Yeah.
And it's, like as odd as it sounds, many times the solution to problems with sex is actually taking sex off the table, because the problem regularly isn't actually sex. The problem is something deeper, and we need to take sex off of the table in order to like root out that deeper thing, right? So if you've got a fruit tree, let's end with one more analogy here.
One more analogy.
All right. Hear me out, guys. If you've got a fruit tree if you have a nectarine tree that has curly leaf, or a peach tree, either one gets curly leaf. Okay, this is a bad disease for trees. But if it's early on, it is very treatable. You have to strip the tree, though. You have to strip the tree of all the fruit and all the leaves. You have to strip it. Okay? That's what we got to do in our marriage. Like this transactional is curly leaf for your stone fruit tree.
I didn't know any of this.
And we got to strip the tree so that the tree can heal. Okay? So we take all of the fruit, all of the things that's like taking nutrients from the curly leaf basically takes the nutrients away from the tree that the tree needs. So we got to strip the tree of the things that are taking the nutrients. We got to strip it of the fruit, right? We got to take the sex away so that the tree can focus on healing itself and like getting unsick. Okay. So that's what we need to do with your marriage. Strip it.
It's pretty good analogy.
I know. That was a good one.
I didn't know that was true about trees.
Welcome to having a nectarine tree in your backyard growing up.
There you go. That is exactly what would happen. Yeah.
All right, everybody. You can do this.
Good talk.
You can do it. Sex does not need to be transactional. It shouldn't be transactional. And it's very solvable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening. If you've ever found yourself wondering, is this allowed? Or feeling unsure about how to spice things up without crossing a line, you are so not alone. A lot of Catholic women want more passion and variety in the bedroom, but they don't want to wade through garbage to get there. That is exactly why I created the Catholic Sex Positions Guide. It is respectful, it is church-aligned, and it's full of creative, clear ideas that can help you feel more confident and connected without second-guessing your choices. You can find it at vinesandfullbloom.com/positionsguide or check the show notes for the link.